When people hear the term OKR, they tend to have one of three reactions. The most common is, what the is an OKR? And the second most common is usually something like, oh my God, we used OKRs at one of my old jobs and they were total. And every once in a blue moon, I meet someone who knows what OKRs are and is actually excited to hear more about what I have to say. If you're in the last category, you might just move on to the next video in this playlist about OKR pitfalls and mistakes to avoid. But if you're one of the first two, stick around. This video's for you. I'm Sara Lobkovich, author of You Are a Strategist, Use No-BS OKRs to Get Big Things Done. I'm an OKR activist and coach who focuses on workplace and career impact. I help you move strategy out of slides and drives and into your everyday operations and decisions so that you can actually do better instead of just doing all the things and hoping for the best. Speaking of my book, check it out wherever you buy ebooks or books, or you can join my launch team for more information at youareastrategist.com. So let's start at the beginning with just a really simple answer to the question, what are OKRs? OKRs stands for Objectives and Key Results, and it's a collaborative goal-setting practice popularized by this book right here. And this book got a lot of traction among corporate CEOs, startup founders, and Silicon Valley types, and it does a really good job at getting people excited about the concept and possibility of objectives and key results, but it leaves a lot of questions around the actual real-world implementation of OKRs. Objectives and key results are used within organizations to increase their clarity, focus, and alignment. I've created my own flavor of OKRs that I call No-BS OKRs so that we have an approach to OKRs that works really well in organizations that are wired for systemic change and innovation. Objectives and key results come in two parts. Our objective is an ambitious statement of shared purpose that gives us direction and focus for our effort during the current goal cycle, which might be a quarter, it might be a year. An example of an objective is create delightful customer experiences that drive long-term loyalty. So our objectives are directional. They're not usually measurable. They help us answer the question, what's most important and why does it matter? So that we're really clear on what's most important to focus on, but the why gives us a sense of shared purpose and meaning that we can align to in how we work. The second part of an OKR is the key result. And key results are aspirational, objectively measurable targets that clarify your most important success and progress measures. Key results don't describe our activity. They describe our outcomes that we're aiming for in terms of objectively measurable goals and our progress that we're aiming for in terms of objectively measurable progress. So a very simple key result example is something like increase our net promoter score by 20 points from 30 to 50. All right, those are really simple examples. So let's look at some more real-world examples in some of the hardest to set goals parts of the business. You're going to see a lot of examples out there when you Google OKR examples for marketing departments or sales organizations or engineering organizations. Those are places of the business I consider target-rich environments. They have a lot of data to work with, and it's not always easy for teams to make the mindset shifts that are necessary with the no-BS style of OKRs. But those part of the business might have a little more data to work with when creating their OKRs. So let's go right to some of the most challenging parts of the business to create OKRs around for our next sets of examples. I do a lot of work with product teams, and in product, we are often juggling customer needs and internal developer or manufacturing needs. Product tends to sit in a compression zone. So here's what an example product OKR might look like. In creating No-BS OKRs, I identify themes for our objectives and key results. It just gives us one more crystal clear, simple keyword phrase that lets us know what this objective and key results are about. So here, I'm going to share an example of a product and customer experience OKR For a product team that is planning a new product iteration, but they've had issues with declining weekly active usage due to issues with the user experience in the past. So the theme is product and customer experience, and an example objective in that form of what's important and why it matters is create a friction-free product experience that delights users and makes them eager to return, establishing a foundation for sustainable growth and engagement. The first product key result that I'm going to share here is an important outcome goal. They're looking to improve their weekly active user retention by a big change, by 30 points, from 45% to 70% within 90 days of their new product launch. Are they in control of that? No. Can they do their work informed by wanting to achieve that goal if it's clear? Yes. If we know one of our key results is increasing our weekly active user retention, then we're going to have more clarity that choices that might support weekly active user retention get prioritized. The second key result here is an example of a progress goal. Decrease the average user path to value completion from 7 clicks to 3 clicks by the end of Q2. So that's not a big outcome, but that is a process goal that might support improving our weekly active user retention. The third is an example of what I call a target behavior key result. So these can be really helpful in parts of the business where you don't have data today, but where there is behavior or spontaneous feedback that you would like to see more or less of that can be counted. This example is increase the frequency of users spontaneously mentioning ease or easy to use or intuitive in product feedback from 0 per week to 5 per week. So that's not an instrumented business metric today, but if we have users mentioning how easy things are or how intuitive things are, that's a good sign that we're on the right track toward our larger objective. And again, that's the type of key result that's going to give us really important information to inform what's important in the decisions we make as we work. Let's look at an example for another team that often struggles with creating OKRs. We're going to do an example for a creative team that's struggling with balancing client needs and their own creative energy. They're focused on doing really excellent work for clients and on reducing their own burnout risk or increasing the sustainability of their work. So here you'll see an OKR on the theme of creative sustainability. The objective is to balance delivering remarkable client work with nurturing our team's creative energy so we can bring head-turning creative to clients without burning out. Answers the questions, what's most important to achieve and why does that matter? Our key results here follow the same pattern. We've got one outcome key result, one process key result, and one target behavior key result. So the outcome key result is increase new inquiries as a result of client referrals by 4 per month, from 2 to 6 per month. That is really ambitious. It takes it a step further beyond having satisfied clients to having clients who are so wildly satisfied they're telling other people to work with you. The progress key result that this team's going to focus on is increasing their client successfulness score on pulse surveys by 10 points from 60 to 70% favorable. So they've instrumented a survey to ask about client confidence in the successfulness of the work, and that key result reflects the results of that survey. This creative team uses a self-assessment of an energy scoring model. So they've set a goal together to improve their internal biweekly average energy score by 2 points, from 6 to 8 average. So you can see with these examples, these teams have not set a lot of goals. They haven't set goals about everything they could set goals about. They've been very judicious about prioritizing the goals that are going to help them focus and be clear about what's really, truly most important to move the needle on this goal term. All right, I had hoped to include an example for Strategist because my people, we have a really hard time creating measurable key results, but you'll have to come back for that one when I do a special episode just on OKRs for strategists and strategy teams. What's something you're working on right now that might benefit from an objective or a key result? Drop it in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you want to dive deeper into creating OKRs that actually drive results, grab a copy of my book, You Are a Strategist. Use No-BS OKRs to get big things done. It's packed with frameworks, practical examples, and step-by-step guidance to help you translate your strategic vision into measurable impact. You can find more information at youareastrategist.com, and the link is in the description below. Now, I want to hear from you about what your experience has been with goal setting at work, and especially with OKRs. Do goals in your organization create clarity or confusion and frustration? Drop your questions and thoughts in the comments, and I would love to create future videos geared towards your real questions. Stay tuned for the next video where I'll dive into the most common OKR mistakes and pitfalls I see and exactly how to avoid them. These are the issues I see in almost every struggling implementation, and fixing them can completely transform your results and take the out of OKRs. So don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss it, and I'll see you there.